Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Thursday almost weekend edition of News 6 Tonight. We are so excited that you are making some time to join us for perhaps and arguably the best part of your day. I know it's the best part of mine.
For sure.
I'm Ginger Gadsden.
I genuinely look forward to the show. I get to talk to my friends.
Yeah.
We get some time with our sweet DJ over here. Who's
Love
one of the
him,
things.
yes.
And so, yeah, if you are joining us on Facebook or YouTube, slide on into our comments and DJ will put them up on the screen for you. We would love to see that. And we get
Who
to
are
start.
you? You didn't say your name. But we're all supposed to introduce ourselves.
Here's the thing, Ginger. Nobody cares. Nobody cares who I am.
But I care.
But my name's Matt, by the way.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Now we can go on.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Look at that, right here.
Right. It was right.
We have
There he is.
Okay. My name's Matt Austin. Okay, we have a terrible story to start with
It's
tonight.
awful. That's
It is, and it frustrates me a little bit, but we're just going to go with it. We're just going to go with the story. So we showed you some video of this guy who was a stepfather. This was in Sanford. It was a driveway. It was kind of security footage of the stepdad. He's yelling profanity at a little girl, and this triggers me a little bit because I'm a dad.
He's
He's throwing her
girls.
on the hood of a car. At one point, it looks like he slaps her in the back of the head. He's being very physical. He's saying terrible language to a child. This made the rounds, and people got
viral.
It went viral. People got very upset about it. Understandably, it was genuinely hard to watch. And then today, we found out this stepfather will not be charged with anything. So prosecutors say a parent is allowed to use corporal punishment to discipline their child. They also say the child abuse charges against a parent, they require damage so excessive that it causes physical or mental injury to that child. And a welfare check by a police officer found the stepdaughter was okay in this. And so basically you are allowed to, if you want to call that corporal punishment.
I was just going to ask you, to me, I think corporal punishment is like a swat on the butt or something like that, not slamming a child against
like
a car.
Spanking. So anyway, what our own feelings don't matter about this. Catherine Silver, she did the story on this. So let's take a listen as to the reasoning behind it.
The video that has been seen millions of times is upsetting and difficult to watch. We do want to give you that warning again before we show it to you. This is what the state attorney's office has been reviewing for the last week, along with follow-up reports from different agencies. It shows a man grabbing and striking his stepdaughter. There's also some harsh language involved.
No, I'm tired of listening to this every day.
The state attorney's office is choosing not to file charges for two reasons. One, because Florida law gives significant leeway when it comes to disciplining children, and because law enforcement said the young girl involved did not have any physical injuries. The state attorney's office says the stepfather was disciplining the girl for misbehaving and fighting with one of her siblings in the car on their way to Sanford. Ultimately, they say they cannot file charges because the facts of the case do not support filing child abuse.
Okay, and I understand from their perspective that makes perfect sense. That doesn't make, just because things are legal, doesn't necessarily make them right. You know, as a father, it feels like if you're out of control, if you're using language like that, if you're getting physical with your... here's the deal. I don't think you ever want your daughters being comfortable with a man being physical with them.
No.
I think if that ever happened one day in the future, and they're okay with it, and a giant red flag doesn't pop into their head like, this has never happened to me before, I think you're really screwing up.
I'm telling you, I know you said that our feelings don't matter, but I feel like it's important to say, like, stories like that really trigger me. Like we talked about this the other day, when you abuse kids who are helpless, animals, and elderly people. Those are just things that will always, to my core, disturb me. And I just, growing up, we got spankings, and there was corporal punishment in my family. And I remember one time my dad actually spanked us, and my mom said, no, I'll be the one to spank them from now on, because I know people think, oh, there's no difference between boys and girls, but men are strong. And you're talking about a girl, right? And if you are angry, if you don't get that under control, you could hurt somebody, right? And thank goodness they say this girl was not hurt. They say she physically was not hurt. I worry about her emotional trauma. like being thrown around. And now
Absolutely.
knowing that everyone has seen this, because she'll see this at some point and knows that it's out there, what kind of damage does that do to a young girl like that? I just worry about that. And I know the law is the law, and he didn't break any laws, but it still makes you feel some kind of way.
I also got spankings as a kid, but there's a difference. You know, my dad never did it when he was angry. He wasn't ever screaming profanity, and that makes it seem like something different.
Of
it
course.
comes off a different
Of course,
way. Anyway,
yeah.
we should move on.
All right, yeah, we're going to move on because no good's going to come from that.
Because I'm going to tip over this freaking table.
He's going to
if we
flip
keep
over the
talking about this
table.
story.
All right, another story that has garnered a lot of attention nationwide and even worldwide is the 13-year-old kid, I think he's 13, in Daytona Beach, who had his neck
you're right,
slashed, who
13.
had his neck slashed. And it was just so disturbing. I remember I was gone when this happened, but I saw a video of him and the stitches that he had from this slashing. And it turns out the person, we're learning more about the attack that happened. The person who eventually was caught for all of this had been on their radar before, earlier in the day.
All day long.
He started work at 8 that morning. I call it work.
Started work.
It's not funny because I'm glad the kid's going to be
Right.
okay, right?
Yeah.
So Daytona Beach Police sent us body cam video from their first run-in, and his name is Jermaine Long. Officers met him at 8 in the morning, as I said, and issued a trespass warning. He was carrying some sort of tool then, they said.
Like a hammer.
Yeah, a hammer. 3.5 hours later, police ran into him again. This time he was at a 7-Eleven store near the boardwalk where they say he chased a man and hit him with a sledgehammer. But he wasn't done yet.
And they were like, we're just going to let you go.
it doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense. Officers spoke with Long and the victim, and again, they did not make an arrest, but they did again trespass him from that business, the 7-Eleven. So 11 hours after that is when police say he slashed that 13-year-old's neck in a case that made headlines all around the country and around the world because people are still talking about it. And people are wondering why, after at least the first two incidents, was he not at least locked up for a little bit, because maybe he wouldn't have done the damage to the 13-year-old kid. We just have so many questions about why did they just choose to trespass him as opposed to arrest him in those cases.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
And we have not gotten the body cam. Here he is as he walks into court, Jermaine Long. We have not gotten the body cam from the latter two, which I would imagine will be much more dramatic. The sledgehammer and then the knife slicing the throat of this random 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, but we're happy to say that tonight that he is in jail on no bond.
No bond.
Until the next court hearing. And
But a lot
course
of
we'll cover that.
questions for specifically Daytona Beach Police, how they dealt with this, why he was let go. And today, I think we had the soundbite from the chief who said there's some other things going on that we can't talk about right now.
So we're not
I
privy
don't
to
know
that
what
just
that
yet.
means, but he says we don't have all the information at this point because, and whenever there's a story like this where things don't make sense, I do like to wait and reserve judgment because it doesn't make sense if he hits somebody with a sledgehammer and he just gets trespassed.
We're going to wait and we're going to continue to press for answers. And once we get the answers and when they can reveal more information about why and what happened in those prior two attacks, then we'll bring that to you as well, because I'm really curious about their thinking behind it. I know it wasn't a random decision, so we'll see.
Okay, so we had a story earlier about kids who just seem innocent, even though they do dumb stuff sometimes, getting thrown around. We hate when somebody who's just like can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
This is, I would say, what annoys you and me about news stories that pop up every day.
Oh, a lot.
So there's this gold bar scheme that we're told took place at this place called Orlando Gold Refinery. When I hear that, I'm picturing people with like a smelter,
in the ground mining,
making gold bars,
in old-timey clothes.
maybe an elven
They're an
culture. I don't know. So there's this. They said it's an ongoing organized fraud investigation involving the laundering and melting of gold tied to what is commonly referred to as the gold bar scam. Timothy Odell, we have the pictures of these two guys, and John Timmerman were arrested on that organized criminal activity and elderly abuse. This is out of Texas. So apparently they're accused of running this scam to people and taking advantage of elderly people in Texas with this. And, this is interesting to me. My grandfather, he passed away a little while ago, but at the end of his life, he would get these calls from people trying to get him to buy silver coins.
Yeah.
And he bought a ton of these silver coins. And so these folks, at least according to authorities, were getting elderly people to send them their gold, and they were melting it down and turning it into other things and selling it. So
They got scammed.
Crazy thing is, though, they were doing this feet away from a police station. The police station, when you look at it on the map, you can see it. Here's the map. DJ, you are such a stud. Look at how close this is as we zoom in. They are within the same block. They're neighbors. Back up to each other. Like you could throw a gold bar to the police station.
If they had a potluck dinner, those guys are all in the same community. That is crazy to me.
So now they're in jail. We'll see what happens with this story. We'll follow up on it.
Yeah, of course we will. All right, another story that is making a lot of headlines. Spring break is about to be upon us. And Florida, we get a lot of people coming from everywhere for spring break. And another place that gets a lot of spring breakers, Mexico. And a lot of people are worried right now what's happening with the violence on the west coast of Mexico. And you say Mexico, it's like saying, something happened in Florida. So you have to kind of like narrow it down. It's not all of Mexico, it's just certain spots. And if you're a parent out there and your kid already has booked some sort of spring break trip, you're probably terrified. It's like, I'm not letting my kid go to this area or whatever, or any place in Mexico, but it's not everywhere in Mexico. So we had our Dollars and Cents correspondent, Donovan Myrie, talk to a travel agent and someone in the cruise industry about what they should really be thinking about.
On Sunday, Mexican government forces killed the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho. The Mexican state of Jalisco was briefly rocked by violence, raising concerns here in the U.S. about travel and tourism. Jen Lee is the president and CMO of Maitland-based Travel Planners International.
Mexico is a huge country with 32 different cities, very much like how we are here in the United States. So right now we have friends and travel advisors and customers that are in the affected area, and they said everything has gone back to normal.
Lee pointed to the fact that Jalisco is on the western side of the country, while many popular tourist destinations like Cancun and Cozumel are on the eastern side. Cruise expert Stuart Sharon says most tourists are in good shape because of the flexibility of cruise lines.
The good thing about cruise vacations is that it's not dependent on an actual destination, meaning if there is geopolitical issues, if there's unrest, there's violence, the cruise lines can, as they're floating resorts, they can go to different ports or extend visits to others.
Okay, so if you have plans, and here's the thing. The cruise industry and other people who are planning these vacations are not going to put their staff and their people and their equipment in any sort of danger.
Yeah.
So they're not going to send you into a community that's on fire and go like, here's our port of call for today. Go out and enjoy yourself.
Have fun.
We leave at 5 p.m. So
Hope you don't get murdered.
So what you should do, there are 3 things they say you should do. Continue to keep your eye on the situation that's happening. Sign up for State Department alerts. Right, so you know exactly where the hot spots are. And if possible, buy travel insurance that covers cancellations or emergency evacuations. I do that now on big vacations. I don't do it if I'm just going to another state or something. But if you're going out of the country and you spend a lot of money on a vacation, you want to protect yourself because you have no idea. The world is a different place now. Things pop off all the time and just things happen. So you want to make sure that you're protected. And when you talk about what you paid for the actual vacation versus what the insurance is, it really is not a big amount. But with the headache and the peace of mind you get knowing that everything's covered and okay.
I always feel like insurance is a scam myself. Because when you go to cash it in, there's always like, wait, was it weather? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it was weather.
Wow.
You can't cancel because of...
What a reenactment you're doing for the insurance industry.
Was it a strike at the airline? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't work
I know.
strikes at the airline.
Well, ask your questions, Matt, and then you decide. But don't discourage other people from doing the right thing.
Don't do it. I totally disagree with you on that. All right. We're going to talk about rip currents. This is very important. It is. We've got beach season on the horizon.
We're talking about that, but we're also talking about the disappearance of something that I am fond of finding on the ground when we come back.
That's a tease. That's a tease. All right, welcome back. You hear all sorts of funny things from people who don't live in Florida about rip currents and beaches and jellyfish. And, but there is a specific thing you need to know if you go to a Florida beach. DJ, I hope you're listening to this because this happens here. All right, pop yourself up. This is DJ, so people can see you. DJ, if you end up at the beach and you're in the water and you start getting sucked out in a rip current, do you know what to do?
Run zigzag.
No, yeah, that's what they say if a gator's chasing you, which will get your leg bitten off.
I have no idea at all. I've heard of rip currents because I lived in Charleston for 2 years. So I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it actually is.
Okay, so our Mark Lehman, one of our community correspondents, decided he was going to jump in a rip current simulation in a pool today, and hopefully it can help you make sure you know. I know Floridians know this, but this is how you get out of a rip current.
Churning up turbulence at Daytona State College, these portable pumps are the newest tool for Volusia County Beach Safety, showing what it's like to get caught in a rip current.
We're the first lifeguarding agency to use this rip current simulator anywhere in the country.
The slipstream equipment was bought using grants through the Department of Children and Families. They're bringing in a twofold benefit: practice sessions for lifeguards and educational outreach for families. It's the closest controlled simulation of a rip current, pushing out around 3,000 gallons a minute. So I gave it a try myself, and was immediately overwhelmed by the rush of water.
So once you realize you're in it and you're not going anywhere, you're going to signal for help. And then what you want to do is you're going to swim parallel to shore. With Volusia seeing more than 2,000 ocean rescues a year, the hope is experiencing this will give swimmers further insight in how to survive a rip current. From here, Volusia Beach Safety will be using these simulators as training tools, and going forward, the community will be able to experience something like this during education classes that are expected later in the spring. In Daytona Beach, Mark Lehman, News 6.
All right, so the rip current's pulling you out.
Yes.
Don't freak out. The reason people
in.
die is because they start wigging out, trying
panic.
to swim right back to shore. It's like a stream. You have to get out of it. And then you can get back to shore. But the main thing is you have to stay calm.
That's the main thing.
Don't fight it and wear yourself out.
And they tell you, one of the serious things that happens when someone tries to rescue someone who is drowning is that the person who's trying to do the rescuing often drowns because the person they're trying to save is in such panic mode, and you can't fight that. And I heard, I don't know if this is true, but sometimes when they're trying to rescue you, they just clock you. They just knock you out and just drag you.
Who'd you hear that from? Mike Tyson?
I was watching Baywatch.
You were watching Baywatch.
No,
okay.
But it makes sense to me because you are trying to help this person who, if they don't feel like they're going to make it, they are just flailing, and you can't swim and help that person at the same time. So you put yourself in danger. No,
drop to the bottom of the ocean.
No, you're holding on to them while you do it because it doesn't take you.
Somebody's going to go and punch someone when they're trying to save them.
No one's going to do that.
They're going to listen to your terrible. Usually, I give the bad advice on the show.
And you still do. All right. If I said, do you know what? Is there a show called the $25,000 Pyramid? It's probably up to more than that now. It's probably like the $65,000 Pyramid. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know. I remember.
Like if I say to you, the passenger pigeon, megalodon, the woolly mammoth, Tasmanian tiger, what would you say?
Things that are extinct.
Yes. Okay. My sweet penny is going away.
Yeah.
It's gone. The penny's dead.
Penny.
So, they are trying to figure out ways to now, if you have pennies or you don't have pennies, what are you going to do in a store for the few people who still pay cash? So I'm not one of them because I don't have cash.
No.
Stop looking at me. A bill passed in the Florida Senate that could round cash sales up or down to the nearest nickel now. But you still have to do math to get it done. So with the supply limited, the bill now establishes rounding procedures when a business cannot provide exact change, meaning they will not have pennies to give you. Purchases involving cash sales ending in 1, 2, 6, or 7's too many would be rounded down to the nearest nickel, and sales ending in 3, 8, 4, or 9 would be rounded up to the nearest nickel.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work for a cashier.
This is never going to impact me. I don't ever pay cash. I don't care about this story at all. Pennies could disappear tomorrow, and it would not change my life whatsoever.
Okay. We are the people who choose the stories we think you will care about. Do you know who chose this story tonight?
I did. And who did I give it to? You. I made sure. I was doing the math on that. My penny math. I was just making sure I didn't get stuck with that terrible
It's going to
penny
change
story.
all of our expressions now. Penny for your thought. What are we saying? What are we going to say now?
There are still so many outdated expressions. I think just in 20 years, somebody's going to be like, the kids will be like, what's a penny? What was this?
Was it penny wise, pound foolish? What? No one.
You use that one all the time. Yeah, you're right. We should bring the penny back. So
That bicycle with the big front wheel, isn't that called a penny farthing something? Isn't that what that bike is
You're really
called?
grasping at straws.
Whatever.
Hey, get your hand out of my shirt.
I know.
You're messing up. It's bad enough.
It really needs to be Friday tonight.
All right, we're going to take a break. DJ's going to be back with what everybody's talking about.
Child booster seats. What should the requirements be? That's what people are talking about in the comments of this News 6 Facebook post, talking about a new proposal in Florida that would require booster seats for children as old as 8 years old. Kimberly says, my child is 9 and I still use a booster seat. I want the seatbelt to fit correctly before she'll ever be allowed without one. David said the requirements for child seats should be height and weight standard, not by age. Children do actually grow at different rates. And Christina quoted our article saying, the requirement doesn't apply to any children who are at least 4 feet, 9 inches tall. Read the article. Christina, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's the QR code that'll take you to our Facebook post where you can weigh in on this booster seat debate and find a link to our article with more information about this proposal. Because if this bill is approved, it would take effect July 1st.
Okay, so DJ, you don't have children.
No children. I don't know what the argument here. Are booster seats bad to have? I don't. What is the issue
It's just
here?
a pain.
It's just,
if you don't have it.
I'll drive past people who have a 3-year-old just running around in the back, not even belted in. It's the craziest. I literally drove past a guy one time reading a magazine with his kid in the back, running around, like doing laps in the back seat. I'm like,
no, you're not.
this
supposed
is
to do
why
that.
people die all the time.
Exactly, and you're supposed to be responsible for that particular child in your back seat.
Yeah.
So keep them.
But I think I have a 10-year-old, and I thought until maybe, I would say 8 or 9, she was in a booster, but she's kind of tall now. She's like 5 feet tall at this point, so she's tall enough to where everything fits on. I think it depends on how the seatbelt fits. If it's cutting over their neck,
no.
put them in a booster. You don't need a whole huge car seat. It's a booster seat that just
That's why
boosts
it's called. It's like a bottom half, and it just kind of lifts them up a little bit. And for my family, we are all tall, including the children, and that has been the case for millennia.
Yeah.
And I have a niece. Honestly, she's in pre-K, but she probably weighs like 30 pounds, but she's as tall as your Sawyer.
Yes, she's very tall.
Yeah. So, but she would need a booster seat. But you just have to sit in one.
Can I tell you the all-time best hack at the airport? It's almost a reason to have kids. They have these huge car seat things. They cover your car seat. That's like the luggage to keep your car seat from getting beaten up when you go travel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And they go for free. They don't charge you for them, and they're huge. And so, when the kids are older, you stick a little booster in there, and then you just fill it with all the stuff, all your extra luggage.
I just want to
Matt
say,
Austin.
kids seem like too much of a hassle. That's all I want to say.
DJ's like, that trick is not worth it.
DJ, kids are definitely too much of a hassle, but they're worth it. Thanks for watching tonight. You're worth it too.
We'll
Have a great
see you
one.
tomorrow when it is Friday. Bye, everybody.